Hello, friends. I hope you're doing well and keeping up with your studies on a regular basis, right? Yeah. So, today we're going to talk about history. So, I'm going to take your chapter 2, which is Socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. So, firstly, we'll take socialism in Europe and afterwards the Russian Revolution. All right. So, let's begin. Okay, I think before we begin, let me just tell you what we are going to actually study in this chapter. So, we're going to study some important political traditions that emerged in the 19th century and thereafter, through the Russian Revolution, how socialism became one of the most significant and powerful ideas to shape society in the 20th century. Okay, so let's just begin with the socialism in Europe at first. So, firstly, the age of social change. So, what happened? So, the French Revolution, you must remember by Napoleon Bonaparte, right? So, that influenced the movements across Europe and Asia. But not everyone in Europe, they actually wanted a complete transformation of society. So, what they really wanted. So, there were like social changes, but in a very constant way. So, okay. So before we start about the social change, like who actually brought the social change, so there are three groups of people. So firstly, we have the liberals. Second, we have the radicals, and third of all, we have the conservatives. So firstly, we have the liberals. So who were the liberals? So the liberals, they always wanted to, like liberalism is like, they wanted to set the people free. So they wanted to safeguard the rights of individuals against the government. So they argued for a representative elected parliamentary government, which is like right now in India, and which should be subject like that should be subject to laws interpreted by a well-trained independent judiciary. So these were a group of people who wanted a nation which tolerated all religions, that is in the sense that be it Christianity, Judaism, or Islam, whatever it is. But however, they were not Democrats. Democrats, as in they were actually not for the people. So they did not believe in universal adult franchise, which is commonly known as universal suffrage, which is, you might not be knowing that it is the like universal adult franchise gives the right to vote to all the citizens irrespective of their ethnicity, their class, their race, their religion, then their gender, income, etc., or like any other restriction so far. So they actually did not believe in this universal adult suffrage, and they felt that only the men of property should have the voting rights. So that's how they were different from the other two groups, which is radicals and the conservatives. So they opposed the uncontrolled power of dynastic rulers also. Next up, we have the radicals. So the radicals, on the other hand, they were actually not against the existence of private property, but they disliked the concentration of power and property into the hands of only a few people. So they wanted the power to be divided equally among people. So unlike liberals, they actually supported women's suffrage movements, and they opposed the privileges of great landowners and the wealthy owners, the wealthy factory owners. So they actually wanted a nation in which government was based on the majority of a country's population. And that's what it's written, that they supported the women's suffrage movements. All right. And finally, we have the third group, which is the conservative. So the conservatives, they were actually opposed to the beliefs of both liberals as well as the radicals. So they accepted that change was inevitable, but also they wanted to make sure that the past had to be respected and change should be a slow and gradual process. So after the French Revolution, which was around 1780s to 90s, so after that, by the 19th century, mid 19th century, even they had opened their minds to the need for a social change. They actually wanted that a social change should occur. Okay. So next up, now we're going to see that how social change and industrial society was related. Like there was a social change which was seen in industrial aspect. So what happened exactly? Yeah. So in factories, that is industries, what used to happen that the work hours were often, long and wages were poor. So unemployment, particularly during times of low demand, when there was a low demand for industrial goods, and apart from that, housing and sanitation, they were the real problems faced by the people. So the liberals and radicals, they observed it. Okay, why did they observe? Because they were, they were often the property owners and the employers. So they observed it and they searched for the solutions, like how can it be resolved. So that's what it's written here, that they searched for the solutions to the problems of housing and sanitation, which was caused by growing industrial towns. So, what happened exactly? So, they felt that the benefits of trade and the industrial ventures would be achieved only if the workplace in the economy was healthy and the citizens were well educated. Okay, I'll repeat. So, what did actually the liberals and the radicals noticed? So, they noticed that only when the workforce will be healthy enough and the citizens will be well educated, only then these conditions can be resolved. So they firmly believed in the value of, in the ideals of individual efforts, labor, freedom, and enterprise. So there were many working men and women who wanted this change in the world, and that's why they rallied around liberal and radical groups and parties in the early 19th century. So this is one of them, the London Poor. It's been seen here. Okay. Next up, we have ideas of nationalism. First of all, what is exactly nationalism? Like, who will be called as a nationalist? So, anyone who, believes in the independence of her or his own country and supports its interest will be stated as a nationalist. So, there were, some nationalists, liberalists, and radicals, and, some revolutionaries in France, Italy, Germany, and Russia, because afterwards we're going to study Russian Revolution. So they actually became the revolutionary and they wanted to overthrow the existing monarchs, that is the kings. So nationalists, they talked about revolutions that would create nations where everybody, like all citizens, would have equal rights. So after 1815, Giuseppe Mazzini, he was an Italian nationalist and a radical, so he conspired with others to achieve equal rights in Italy. So that was given an Italian revolution. Okay. Next, we have the coming of socialism to Europe. Okay, so before I begin with this, first of all, what is socialism? And whenever, I think when we talk about socialism, capitalism also comes into picture. So what are the basic differences between the two? So I'm just gonna put it right here on the screen. So basically, socialism in simple terms, it means that it's an economic and political activity that calls for public rather than, private ownership or private property or private natural resources being owned by private businessmen. So it's basically talking about the government owned things. While capitalism talks about money and the private partnership, like it should be privately owned. There should be an individually owned thing. Okay, so I'll just list down some of the differences because you might be asked about that. Give me a sec. Yeah, here. So this is socialism versus capitalism. So first of all, what we have under socialism, that it is socially owned. So first point will be that it is socially owned. While in capitalism, it is individually owned. Okay, like privately owned, we can say. Okay. Next point which we have is that what is it based on? So socialism is based on the principle of equality. So next point is equality. While here when we talk about, so here it is based on principle of individual rights. Okay. And there's another one that what does it advocate? So I'm just gonna tell that because there's no space here. So socialism, it actually advocates equality because it is based on that principle and fairness in society. Like how fair is the society? How just is the society? While capitalism, it advocates innovation and private rights, like individual goals. What are the individual goals? Okay. So yeah, that's it. So now let's just talk about like how did actually we saw the coming of socialism to Europe. So there are some examples which we can see. Yeah. So by the mid 19th century in Europe, what actually happened? So socialism was a well-known body of ideas, that attracted widespread attention. So there were socialists who were against private property and they saw it as the root of all the social evils which were prevailing during that time. So one of the examples, so there were some socialists who believed in the idea of cooperative. So, cooperative is something when a group of people work together on the same idea, on the same concept. Like, for example, in India, we have an Amul cooperative society, right? So it's a like large number of people who are working on the same thing. So there were some socialists who believed in the idea of cooperatives. So one of them was Robert Owen's cooperative community. So he was a leading English manufacturer and who, sought to build a cooperative community called New Harmony in Indiana, which is USA. Other socialists were also there, as we can see the second picture, Louis Blanc. So other socialists, they actually felt that cooperatives, could not be built on a wide scale only through individual efforts. So it's a collective effort. So because of that, in France, Louis Blanc, he wanted the government to encourage the cooperatives and replace the capitalist enterprise, the capitalist policies. So these cooperatives were to be the associations of people who are working together. So cooperative is basically an association where people work together. Okay. Yeah. There's another one which is Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, and they actually called the industrial society as capitalist because it was not a socialist thing. It was already driven by capitalist policy. So they actually wanted to replace capitalism with socialism. All right. Okay. So, we can just have an activity because just now I listed down the differences. So, you just have to list two differences between the capitalist and socialist ideas of private property. So, I already told you, but you can find out more about it and you can list down any two of it, right? The basic ones. Okay. Next is the support for socialism. So what happened exactly? So the workers in England and Germany, they set up funds, to help the members in distress. Like whoever was in distress, the workers were helping them out. So in Germany, these associations closely worked with the Social Democratic Party, the SDP. So by 1905, what happened? The socialist and the trade unionist, that is the labor trade unions which are made. So they formed a labor party in Britain and a socialist party in France. So, what happened exactly? So, this Labour Party in Britain and a Socialist Party in France, that was called the Second International. So, it was an international body of socialists. So, it was actually an organization of socialists and the Labour parties, the labor unions. So, what happened? However, till 1914, the government continued to be run. Like, till 1914, the government was being run by these three groups, that is the conservatives, radicals, and the liberals. But after that, the trade unions were doing it and the socialist group. Okay. Yeah, so here there's a picture of the Paris Commune of 1871 on your screen. So what was it? So it was actually the local government of Paris, the Paris Commune. It was the municipal government of Paris during the French Revolution. So it played a key role in the life of the capital, that is Paris. And not only did it provide the tax collection, the only civic functions like tax collection, public services, but it also was a democratic assembly where people were the representatives. So this Paris Commune, this government was actually formed in the wake of Franco-Prussian War where France was defeated. So hence it was formed. So that's why the picture. Okay, next up we have another activity for you. So imagine that a meeting has been called in your area to discuss the socialist idea, which that is government owned, of doing away with private property and introducing collective ownership. Like collective as in, it's quite possible that there's some kind of private ownership, but majorly it should be a government thing. Like it should be a collective effort. So what would you say at the meeting if you are first a poor laborer working in the fields, second a medium level landowner, and third a house owner? So just write down your solutions and let me know after that. Okay.